Hey guys, it's Simon from the Grow Operation here. I recently got some yabbies for my aquaponics unit and I was thinking what to feed them. Well, guys, I'm going to be going through that today. I'm going to be talking about what to feed them, how much, and how often. So come join me and we'll go through it together. So let's start out, guys, by having a quick look at the Yabbie, and I'll explain what it is. So as you can see, it's kind of like a little crustacean. You'll find them in dams or slow-running streams throughout Australia. I think in other countries they'll call them like craybobs or craydads or something like that. You'll find them mainly at the bottom. They're sort of bottom feeders, and look, they'll eat almost anything. So that's important for when we're looking at what to feed them. Yeah, let's go straight off and have a look at the dry food that we're going to have a look at first. Okay, let's start with dry fish food. So as you can see, it's these little brown pellets. This is a generic food for aquaponics, so it can be for either fish or yabbies, either or. It'll go just fine for either one. There's some advantages to dry food, and there's a couple of disadvantages too. I'll talk about those. So one of the advantages is you know exactly how much to feed them. If you were to feed a yabbie dry food, you'd give them 3% of their body weight per day. It's easily calculated. You weigh up your fish or your yabbie. First of all, that yabbie I just showed you before was 30 grams. So you'd put in 30 times 0.03, and that'll give you the amount of grams of dry food you need to feed them per day. One of the disadvantages of the dry food is primarily the cost. So this is 500 grams of fish food, and it cost me $6.50 or $13 a kilo. Now, that's actually, to be honest with you, that's actually kind of cheap compared to other types of fish food that are on the market. So that's definitely a disadvantage. Definitely a disadvantage. If I was going to be feeding like a fish, I would definitely feed it this. It's got the right balance of nutrients and calcium, and you're getting everything you need. With the yabbie, it is a little bit different because you'd view them as like worms in a pond. You wouldn't specifically tailor food to a worm. You'd feed them any old sort of scraps that you've got, and so that's dry food. I hope I've answered some questions on that one, and we'll be moving on to wet food. And here we have the wet food, or as I like to call it, kitchen scraps. Now, with wet food, it's a little bit harder to give you a specific amount that you would feed them per day. With vegetables, I would feed them you're safe with, say, carrots or peas or lettuce or broccoli, as long as it's sort of not been cooked. I mean, you can put it cooked, but if it's had anything on it like garlic or onion, I wouldn't feed it to the yabbies. This is just a rotty, mouldy old carrot that I found at the back of my fridge. It was going off, so it'd be perfect for the yabbies. I like to cut it into pieces, as you can see here, as opposed to one big chunk, because the yabbies will fight each other to the death for one large piece, or they'll share little pieces. So yeah, Now, in relation to the amount that you feed these, it's more of a correlation between water quality as opposed to a specific amount of food to feed. So what I mean by that is, don't feed the yabbies if you can still see more food in the tank. If you can see more food in the tank that you've previously fed to them, it means that you're overfeeding them and you need to stop until you can see nothing. What they'll do is they'll eat the garbage scraps, and they will poo out the garbage scraps, and they'll eat that until there's nothing. They really demolish anything. One of the disadvantages, I guess, of food like this is that you don't know exactly what is going in, as far as it hasn't been balanced. You know, that you're not quite sure if you're giving them enough calcium or enough, of the nutrients they need. But as I say, these little suckers are bottom feeders. They will eat anything, and they will clean up everything. One of the great things about this type of food is, well, basically it's free. All you need is to give them, the scraps like you've got here, and they'll destroy those things. Now, in relation to additional calcium, what I avoid is eggshells. Eggshells can play with the pH in an aquaponics system. So I like to avoid eggshells. But what I will do is that these little guys will molt every so often, and they'll leave their shell lying in there. I'll actually leave the shell in the tank so that they can eat it, and they will. They'll eat it. They'll molt, and they'll start eating their shell within minutes. What I will do is I will remove a dead yabbie, because that will give off too much ammonia. The rotting body will give off a lot of ammonia. Wouldn't surprise me if the yabbies would eat it, but if you can catch a dead yabbie, remove it. But it is okay to leave that malted shell. They'll eat that, they'll turn that back into calcium. So so the downside, not quite sure exactly what nutrients are going into the little guys. Plus side is it's essentially free. So thanks for joining me today, guys. I hope I've answered a couple of your questions and guided you in the right direction. Grow harder.